Well, good morning. Welcome to my channel. My name is Renee. I'm glad you're here. This morning I'm making some homemade coffee creamer using just a few ingredients. It's going to taste delicious. So I hope you stick around and see how it comes out. And before you leave, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. Tell me your name, where you're from. I'd love to hear from you. So today I'm gonna make my homemade creamer using the Smith Brothers. I have a quart here of half and half, but I'm just gonna use half of it because I don't want to waste it in case it doesn't come out. I also have some homemade vanilla that I made a couple years ago, and I'm gonna sweeten it using some honey. And we love pumpkin spice all year long, so I'm gonna spice it up using those spices. So here we go. So the first thing that I want to do is whip some honey, and I'm going to put a little bit more in my bowl than I actually need. I've got my blender or my mixer here with the whisk attachment because we can use this for something else too. So I'm going to go ahead and pour some honey. This was just a big plastic jug that you can get at Walmart. I think like $18. I just decanter it and put it in my own mason jars. So I've got my honey in my mixer. I'm gonna go ahead and lift my bowl here. And then I'm gonna just start low. And I'm just gonna whisk it till it becomes more like a cream. And then I'm gonna blend in the half and half and whatever seasonings and flavorings that I want. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it up a little bit more and just let it go for a while. I'm gonna let this go for a few minutes, and when it's at the consistency that I want, I'll bring you back. It's getting thicker, but it's not quite where I want it yet, but it's almost there. It's looking pretty good. How many of you have made your own homemade coffee creamer? Or how many of you have even whipped your own honey before? Let me know in the comments below you've done it and what your process was and how it turned out. Is it just easier to buy it that way, or do you enjoy the process? I think I enjoy the process of making this, even though it's my first time. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here. I'm gonna take some out because I'm gonna use it for something else. And I think this would be too sweet for 1 quart of half and half. So I'll bring you right back when my tripod broke. So I have to do everything one-handed. So I'll bring you back in just a second. Okay, so now that I've taken out most of my honey, I don't want it to be too sweet. This is what I set aside that we're gonna use to put on bread with butter or whatever we like to sweeten stuff with. So now I'm gonna go ahead and turn it back on, and I'll start adding my half and half. There's still a lot of honey in here, so I might end up using the whole quart of half and half, even though I really didn't want to. But we will, if we need to. I'm gonna also add, I think about maybe that much of a tablespoon of my homemade vanilla. And then I'm going to use this pumpkin pie spice. Just a couple dashes will do you. And if it doesn't come out, just tap it on the bottom there and it'll come out. Still got a lot of honey on the side there, but that's okay. We can scrape it down. Make sure. I'm going to give it a little taste and see. It's all foamy. Ooh, that's yummy. I'm going to put the rest of the half and half in here. So I've used a whole quart of half and half for maybe a quarter of a cup of whipped honey. Use any kind of honey that you can afford. And maybe 4 or 5 shakes of the pumpkin spice. And just under a tablespoon of vanilla. But you can use any kind of other flavoring extracts like pineapple. That would be interesting. Peppermint or almond, whatever you want your coffee to taste like, you can add that extract, and you can maybe even separate in separate containers so you don't have to drink the same flavored coffee every day. But this is typically what I drink every day. I just add cacao powder and MCT oil. So I guess I can probably even add cacao powder to this and just make a chocolate coffee creamer, which I could do, but I'm going to talk to my husband about that first. So I'm going to get this blended a little bit more. Make sure all that honey gets dissolved. And I'll bring you back when it's done. Okay, so I realized I made a little bit of a boo-boo. Not terrible, but we can fix it. Since honey doesn't really dissolve well in cold liquid, I should have warmed up my half and half first before mixing it with the whipped honey. That way it would help the honey dissolve. But that's okay. I live in a fifth wheel, so I don't have a whole lot of space. So I'm gonna go ahead and move my mixer, which is on my stove right there. And I will get a pot set up, and I will just warm up the half and half to get the honey dissolved. And then I'm gonna put it back into its original container, and I'll show you how I make my coffee. Be right back. So I have my half and half and my whipped honey, my homemade vanilla, and my pumpkin spice in here. And after pouring it in, there isn't really a whole lot of honey that hasn't dissolved. For the most part, it's pretty much dissolved. So I'm gonna bypass warming it up, because I don't really want to warm up the milk and then cool it down again. Somebody can let me know in the comments exactly, do you warm your milk up before you mix it with your sweetener so it dissolves, or do you just mix it all together, give it a good shake, and pray for the best? I'm curious. I really want to know. I've never done it before, but I'm willing to learn. So anyways, I'm going to get this in my container, and I'll be back to show you how I make my coffee. Stick around. Okay, so I just decided to put a lot of decision making and not really turning out how I was going to do it, but I'm just going to put it in a quart size glass mason jar. I just need to go grab a lid from storage outside. I do have a little bit left in here, so I'm just going to use this and show you how I make my coffee. So I'm just going to bring that over here to where we have our little coffee area set up. Typically, I would... Hold on, Okay, so when I first start out with my coffee, before I even brew it, we use a K-Pods or Keurig. So I just take a little bit of cacao powder, not cocoa powder, not Hershey's baking powder, cocoa or cacao powder, real cacao powder. It doesn't really cost a whole lot. At the store, you get a big bag. It'll last forever. And you can use this to replace your cocoa powder. Much better quality, and it has more vitamins and minerals in it. Anywho, and then I have some MCT oil, which is a medium chain triglyceride from coconuts. And it really does help keep me satiated, since I pretty much eat one meal a day. Unless my husband's home, then I cook more and I eat more. So I just put a little squirt of that in the morning. That'll keep me going. Normally my first meal is about 3 o'clock. And then the coffee that I use, and then I would normally add some honey, but I put the honey in my creamer, so we're not going to put the sweetener in. And then my choice of coffee, I like the little donut shop, the regular blend. My husband likes the Black Rifle coffee. This is what he drinks. So we'll just go ahead and just put it in my Keurig. I'm going to put my little Starbucks cup. Oh, and I need to add water. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just press the 12 cup or 12 ounce, excuse me, function, and I'll go ahead and I'll do its thing. So tell me in the comments, how many cups of coffee do you guys normally drink to get you through the day? Do you find yourself drinking decaf or do you prefer tea? There are a lot of tea connoisseurs out there. I can do both. Coffee doesn't really have an impact on me, so I can drink a cup of coffee at 10 o'clock at night and still go to bed and sleep just fine. But I try not to do that because I do typically use heavy cream instead of half and half because I like the texture, I like the creaminess. But I'm going to try to start using the half and half. It smells so good. When my husband works mornings, his cup of coffee brewing always wakes me up. Sometimes that's like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Almost there. Okay, so I'm going to bring my coffee. I'm just going to set it down right here. And I like my coffee light and not too sweet, but sweet. So that's a couple tablespoons, I would say. And if you have one of those, I'll show you, I'll bring you along with me. If you have one of these, frother, that's what it's called. You can use one of those. I'll bring it with me. I just don't want my cup to overfill. Whoop. Should probably take that out and make glass. Oh well. There we go. I already had a cup of coffee today and I had a cup of tea, so this is my second one. So hopefully, if you're watching this in the morning, cheers to a cup of coffee. I hope everybody has a great day. Like, share, subscribe the video if you found it useful. I know it's my first YouTube video, so I have a lot to learn. But hopefully that'll give you some ideas on how to make your own homemade coffee creamer. Homemade coffee creamer, flavored just the way you like it. I'd rather know exactly what's in my coffee. So I tasted it and it's not very sweet. So I'm wondering, I know the honey was really diluted with all of the half and half. So really it depends on if you like yours sweet or not. I'm going to take a little sip. I like mine a little bit more creamy. My husband gawks at how much milk I use in my coffee. But that's just how I do it. That's really good, but it needs to be a little sweeter. So I'm going to use some of my whipped honey and get a clean spoon. Don't look at my dirty floors. And I'm just going to dig in. I don't want to use too much because I don't want to over sweeten my coffee because then I won't like it and I won't drink it. So I'll just go ahead and stir that in. Here we go. Just take both of these, give it a good stir. There we go. And I'm going to give it another shot. I would honestly much rather use heavy cream to make my coffee creamer just because I like the consistency. My husband will like it for his coffee because he doesn't really drink like super light coffee. He likes his with a little bite. But me, I need something a little bit sweeter, or not sweeter, but a little bit creamier. So if you have heavy cream, which I do, but most heavy creams have the carrageenan in it, which can cause issues with some people, like inflammation and other things. So look that ingredient up before you buy your heavy whipping cream. And I found one that Smith Brothers doesn't carry that. And I do notice that the consistency of the heavy whipping cream is not as thick and creamy as it is to those brands that use the carrageenan in it. So that's what I would do differently. And then I would probably whip my heavy cream a little bit to make it a little bit more creamy, and then add my other things. But it's a work in progress, so we're going to give it a shot. So I'll see all of you guys later with another video. Ciao.